Hello and welcome to NFL Teams Tier List based on how excited I am to watch the team this season. This isn't going to be at all like a power rankings or how good I think they are. It's purely entertainment value for me personally. And partially the hope of this video is that, all the GMs, all the head coaches are definitely going to tune in and see this and they're going to go, oh, Harrison put us in the D tier. Harrison put us in the C tier. That's terrible. I got to make some personnel changes. I might have to fire some people. Change the defensive scheme, whatever it is, to please me and overall create a more entertaining league for all of us. So, you're welcome, I guess, because this is really a public service for all of us to sort of help some of these lower teams step up their game, create some accountability. Like the Cardinals, great start right here. Both a bad team and boring. So, what are we doing? I say pick one, pick a struggle. Why are you watching a Cardinals game? Unless your son is on the O-line or something, I get watching a Cardinals game then. But otherwise, why am I there? I'm gonna see Kyler Murray throw a few highlight balls and underperform. I'm gonna see Marvin Harrison Jr. catch a few highlight balls, underperform. The defense is boring. The fans don't care. The city is boring. The coaching staff is boring. What is there to this team? I know the league is trying to expand. I think there's rumors of having 4 extra teams. I say we have one less team and take out the Cardinals. I think that's also a direction that's worth moving in. So really this Cardinals team, despicable, disgusting. You guys really got to fix what you're doing here. Moving on to another team. I'm going to knock out all the birds first, I think. Eagles. Here's another fun one. Great team. Obviously, congrats on the Super Bowl. You guys blew out the Chiefs, and I think America really needed that. I can't put you an S on that one just off of that alone, but I'll put you an A. I mean, Jalen Hurts and Saquon is one of the better backfields in all of football. It's always interesting seeing kind of the winning team come to the next season. They always kind of lose a lot of talent. Except for the Chiefs, they don't really have that problem. But every other team, a lot of the veteran guys get the ring, and they kind of use that to leverage a better deal in other cities that are maybe performing poorly, and they make a bunch of money. And that did happen to the Eagles. They lost some talent on the defense, especially. So I'm excited to see how they kind of deal with that. Nick Sirianni is also interesting. He tends to get a lot of hate, kind of for no reason. I do get it. The ego, he kind of scraps with fans. He's got a weird personality to him. But I feel if you can back that up, you are allowed to have an ego, and he fits in that category. So, honestly, more power to Nick Sirianni. He's almost the underdog at this point because of how the media interacts with him. So I'm almost rooting for him based on that, which is probably not a good lifestyle thing to generally have, rooting for the guy everyone hates. But with this instance, I do kind of have it. There's also the fact that Saquon Barkley made the Madden cover, and historically, if you are on the cover of Madden, you have a horrific injury, if something goes wrong in your season, that Madden curse is very, very strong. So I'm really hoping that Saquon's very careful on stairs. He doesn't ride scooters or anything. He's just very careful with those legs, because I'd like to see him play. And I'm very worried that this is going to take him out of contention. I have some notes here. I'm going to see if I missed anything about this team. They've played Dallas week 1. That is going to be a blast. I love that rivalry, and this Dallas team has zero shot. They cannot keep up with these Eagles. They're going to try, of course. It's going to be... We'll get to Dallas later. I'll talk down on them in a little bit, but I'm just excited to see this Eagles team kind of beat up on them. Shout out Eagles. Next bird team, Seahawks. Grew up in Washington. I have almost an unfair love of this team because of that. But the vibes that I love are gone. Old Russ, Tyler Lockett, Pete Carroll, all of that is gone. This team doesn't really seem to have the same identity that it's had for me for kind of my whole life. And so that is going to hurt the entertainment value. There's definitely some new stuff going on that I'm excited to see. Sam Darnold coming in. Cooper Kupp, I'm kind of excited. I can see a person being excited, but I don't think either of those guys really thrived because they were the good part. I think they were both in very, very good situations. Obviously, if you're a quarterback, Minnesota's Vikings is about as good as you can get for the situation around you. Cooper Kupp had Matthew Stafford thrown to him, and that's also pretty nice. He won the Triple Crown just a few years ago, but I feel his stock has just plummeted since then because of age. Unfortunately, sorry Cooper, but that is how it is. So I'm excited to see if this team can really put anything together. I don't want to say that I doubt it. I just don't want to see them going too far. I would hate to see them be 7-8 at some point. Just don't be middle of the road. I'd love to see you succeed or fail and kind of build up for next year. Just don't be middle of the road. $60 million in cap space. That is kind of exciting. Always exciting. Some of these teams are in absolute cap hell. Like Denver's kind of in that train. I think Denver's still paying Russell Wilson his contract offer when he played at Denver, which is hilarious, and I kind of love that. But Seahawks are doing really good on that. Micah Parsons, at the time of me recording this, Micah Parsons still doesn't have a deal figured out, didn't get traded to a new team. I think the Seahawks could really, really use a presence like that. Not that he's even like this old, grizzled veteran who can guide the young guys, but like having a guy, one, with that level of talent, and two, with a guy who's just kind of used to dominating like that, I think could help their defense a lot. And this team is best when it has a super strong defense. I'd like to see the Seahawks do, frankly, something, because they're not at the bottom, but C tier is not great. I would step it up, you guys. Birds. Ravens. Here we go. Yeah, that's an S tier team. I hate to just give them the S because they're great, but I think that they're so great that they're just a blast to watch and will draw me into any game, because I want to see Derrick Henry hit a stiff arm. I want to see Lamar hit a crazy juke. It's like there's so much that could happen on any given play with this team that it's just a blast. I mean, they got some young talent, Zay Flowers. Who was the other guy they had on there? Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely. That was a good one on there. And again, having a potential MVP like Lamar, somebody at that level, when you're like a top 6 player in the whole league, that alone can carry a team pretty far. I mean, we're going to see that a few more times on this list, but that you really can't be overstated. Also, the AFC North divisional games are always just spectacular. Although, I almost want to take points away because I could see them going 6-0 in their division kind of easily, and that does take away from the competitive nature of that division. So they're almost going to be so good it's not interesting. I don't want to put that on them now, though, and kind of create too much expectation, especially considering how they always kind of fall apart in the postseason. But that's just part of it, really. That's part of the Lamar Jackson game, and I want to see them play that game. So shout out to the Ravens on that one. First S tier. On to our last birds, the Falcons. That's a tough one. I think I can actually put a bird in each category here. The Falcons are fun, but they're not too fun. They have some talent that I'm excited to see. Kyle Pitts, round 1, pick 1 in fantasy. Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson. He was actually my pick 2 in fantasy. I was the second overall, and I chose him, so I really want to see him do well. Drake London's also interesting. I love seeing a quarterback get their first real shot. It's also cool because you usually don't, when a new quarterback comes in and takes the place of the old guy, you don't often think about the old guy. Like, I didn't think a lot about Andy Dalton when Joe Burrow came in. I didn't think a lot about, I can't remember his name when Mahomes came in. But with Kirk Cousins, that's a sad story. I can imagine him on the bench pouting all season. Lip out, arms crossed. He's probably pissed. He signed, a 4-year contract for millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then a couple months later they drafted this guy, like the 2nd round or 3rd round, whatever it was. That's sad. I would be very, very upset if I was Kirk Cousins. That's going to be like a little bit of a damper on the vibe of this whole team. I think almost like the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals, they threw that interception on the goal line a couple of years ago in that playoff game against the Rams, and I feel like their vibes never recovered from that. Just the energy of that team, their thoughts that they could win just plummeted and never really came back. The Falcons kind of had that, but even worse. I mean, 28-3 in that Super Bowl. Brady's the GOAT. 28-3 in the Super Bowl really took a toll on this team. They're really just recovering from that generational trauma that was that blunder in that Super Bowl. I can't wait until I'm far enough along in time to not have to bring that up when I talk about the Falcons, but we're just not there yet. I do have to bring that up. Sorry, guys. B tier, make it happen. I want to see an offense that's exciting. Entertain me, please. Moving on to the Panthers. I'm gonna do all the cats next. I did all the birds, I'll do all the cats next. I might put them in B as well. They're kind of similar where they got some talent I'm excited to see, but the team itself just isn't super exciting. I'm excited to see Bryce Young. He doesn't have an incredible play style, but seeing a guy who was put down like that by the media so much, people were very, very mean to that poor kid. I call him a kid because he really can't see too far over the O-line. He's small. I'm small too, but I'm not a quarterback making millions, so it's fine for me to make fun of him for that. It's whatever. I want to see him put it together, kind of combat that narrative that he just wasn't fit for the league. I want to see McMillan go out there and do some cool stuff. He was very highly touted in the draft. His highlights impressed me. I don't watch a lot of college ball, so I kind of got to go off draft day highlights. But his highlights really impressed me. Excited to see him go and do his thing. Oh yeah, Bryce Young finished that season, last 10 games, with 20 touchdowns and 11 picks. It's a pretty good ratio. Obviously, bring those picks down a little bit, maybe win some more of those games that are close, but this Panthers team has some heart, and I think that you could really feel that at the end of the last season. So if we can kind of continue some sort of upward momentum, I could see this being a pretty fun time to be a Panthers fan, especially since I don't know, since the Cam Newton era, you've been really, really down, like a very instant spike down to not being competitive. So it'll be nice to have that kind of gradual way back up, because everyone gets there. Everyone goes through those ups and downs. They're going to feel a little better season after season after season, but I can't put them too high because, come back to me in like 2 years. Get like a winning record or a real offensive identity, then come back to me and you could be a very, very exciting team. But for the time being, that's a pretty simple B tier. Moving on to the Cats, I'll go Bengals next. Bengals gotta go S. There's not another team like them in this league right now. One of the most lethal offenses we've ever seen, an incredible receiving duo, arguably Hall of Fame quarterback, and just an absolutely revolving door, awful, Kleenex tissue defense. It creates just incredible games. You'll see them lose like 48-45, and like that's just great football. That's really what I want to see. Another example of where having an MVP candidate can kind of carry you very far. They did less in the offseason with that defense than I was kind of assuming they would. I thought they would kind of attack that with every resource they had. Instead, they paid T. Higgins, which I can understand. It was working very, very well. It's just when you pay 3 guys almost 50% of your salary cap, it's like, well, how do you build the rest of the team with that? You either expect guys to take less money in the hopes that Joe Burrow can carry them to some wins, or you just have a bad defense. And I feel like they just chose, let's sign T. Higgins and have a bad defense. And I don't think that's going to work very well for them. I mean, they always start off really slow. Not that that's separate from them being talented. Like they start off slow because they were bad. I'm not gonna make an excuse for them. They just were bad, so they lost 5 games in a row or whatever. If you can just turn a few of those around and maybe hit week 5 like 2-3, maybe, I think that's gonna put you in a way better position because you can't catch your stride like at week 8 every season. You're just not gonna make the playoffs doing that. And it's been a long time since I've seen this team really do something in the playoffs, and that's upsetting considering how much fun they are to watch. Like, we're getting deprived of really, really good football. Another Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship would just be, it'd be like a gift from God. I would love that. I want to see it, and honestly, I kind of just fear that I'm not going to. I might put him down for that. No, although the fear that I'm not going to almost adds to it. It kind of adds like a sense of stakes to it. I'll keep him in S. You're going to barely slip by, Bengals. Jags. Jags are next. Where are they at? Here we go. The obvious story here is Travis Hunter. I'm going to throw an A for now. I'm going to talk my way through this, but I feel like A is going to have to hold them for now. Travis Hunter is so exciting. I'm absolutely thrilled to see him go out there and do anything. I mean, playing on both sides of the ball, that could change the league forever. He could potentially have the biggest contract of any athlete ever if he's able to genuinely contribute on both sides of the ball. Like that kind of adds a new wrinkle to the league that I didn't really expect at all. Like, people are very much from age 10 trained to do one thing, one body type, one set of skills, like either route running or defending or whatever it is. A person doing both, it's just, you have to be such an athletic freak to do that, and that's always going to be fun to watch. He's a great guy. He's got a very, very large smile. He seems excited to be in Jacksonville, and frankly, he can almost be used to give Trevor Lawrence a better shot at kind of showing his talent as well. And I'd love to see him pick up the pace a little bit on his career, make some stuff happen. Trevor Lawrence, can we call him the Prince? I'll move on from them. Last Cat team, Lions. Where are the Lions at? There we go. Lions is a tough one. Weirdly enough, I've seen this team be bad for so long, horrifically bad for so long, but like, them turning from terrible to good has almost worn off on me at this point, to where I expect good things from them now, so it's not as thrilling to see it happen. I mean, I love the 2 running backs thing they got going on. Sonic and Knuckles is just, it's the coolest 2-person like nickname in sports. You really can't get better than that. Like a bruiser and a speedy guy, I love that. I mean, Dan Campbell creates good fun everywhere. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be back from injury. I hope he's the same guy that he was, because he was on track to just do stupid things last season. I saw something on, I will say, I don't know if this is true at all, I just saw it on Instagram, that at the Lions practices, they were instituting the Hutch rule, where they'd be running these plays, and Aiden Hutchinson would just blow the play up so fast that the team would agree to just keep the play going, because otherwise nobody would really get reps, because the play would just end so fast. I love seeing a guy just so dominant that the team has to like evolve around him doing that to get reps. Although I can't put him in S. I just don't like Jared Goff enough. He's not interesting enough. I don't love hearing him talk. I don't like looking at his face all that much. He's a good quarterback, but like, he's not really making the difference. I'll throw him in A. I can't disrespect Dan Campbell like that. I'll throw him an A. Okay, Buffalo Bills. I think that's another S tier. That's going to be probably a trend. If you have an incredible quarterback, you're probably going to make the S tier just based off of that. They also had kind of a weird offseason. I don't know if I'm alone. I haven't heard anyone talk about this, but James Cook had one pretty good season next to Josh Allen and thought he was the GOAT. He had this massive contract ego on him, and he demanded it. I think he held out in practice, if I'm not mistaken. And I just think that's ridiculous. Dude, you had one pretty good season in a good offense. You don't have that much bargaining power. And then the Bills gave it to him. They gave him I have my notes here somewhere. Hold on. $48 million contract extension for James Cook just because he pouted and asked for it. I think a lot of backs could have done pretty good in that offense. I know they had the whole let James Cook verbal motif, which is cool for branding, but it's I don't think he is what's making that work. Again, Super Bowl contenders, obviously. Always fun to see them face off against the Chiefs because it's just a tragedy after tragedy for this poor team. Maybe husband Josh Allen is a winner Josh Allen. Who knows? Maybe Haley Steinfeld can inspire him somehow to really go out there and finally take down Mahomes. He should have last season. I thought that was a first down. Ref said it wasn't. Whatever. But another chance next season. There's always another season to make it happen. Bills and S tier pretty easily just because of the fact that they could go all the way. Chicago Bears. I believe in Caleb Williams. I do. Not that that's crazy to say or anything, but I'm in that party of people who think that Caleb can do some good things. He didn't have a great situation to come into. I mean, no first overall pick does, but obviously Bryce Young had a worse situation to go into than Caleb did. But I don't know. It wasn't great for him. That offense wasn't really built for him. I don't think he was ready. There's been some reports in training camp of him being confused by the complexity of the offense. The team is trying to spin it as if they're trying to progressive overload him and make him confused by throwing so many concepts at him so that he's constantly working to keep up. But it's not coming off like that. It sounds bad when the narrative that your quarterback can't keep up with the playbook. That's just it's not good for a team. But I think they'll pull through. I'm excited to see Rome Odunze come back. I like his chemistry with Caleb Williams. It's fun seeing guys who played together in college try to do it in the league. I always love seeing that. Kind of like the Panthers, they're underperforming, but they are trending up. It's just going to be a little harder for this team, I think, to get those wins and trend up in a serious way because they're in a pretty hard division. That's a ruthless division right now. And if you're in your first couple years in the league, that's a really tough place to try to go grind out wins. I mean, same thing with J.J. McCarthy. That's going to be a really tough place to start. And so I hope that this team gives him a little bit more support in that and that he keeps his positive attitude about him. There's some tough losses last season, but I think they can pull through. That's not what this tier list is about in the first place. Entertainment value. Put him in B. I feel like this is kind of the exciting young quarterback tier where it's success or not, I'm going to watch him, but that can take you too far. Who's going to be next on that one? Any exciting young quarterback teams? Broncos actually works in that tier as well. I'll throw him back up there. Bo Nix is cool. I think he has a little bit of a shorter leash this season. I think when you are a rookie, you're allowed to go out there and kind of try to learn, and everything you do right is very exciting, but I do expect more out of him in the upcoming season. I think this is a better roster than they had in the previous seasons. I think their division is a little bit more open for them because of their defense mainly. I ended up with Harvey, their rookie running back, in 2 fantasy leagues, so I really hope that kind of comes to fruition. I had really no reason to do that. I had no excuse for picking him at all. Not that I reached too hard, but I picked him twice kind of for no reason. I don't really know who he is even. I just kind of trust this Broncos team and needed a running back, so I did that. I'm a little ashamed, but you got to stick by your guy. So Denver, don't disappoint me. Also, my sister lives in Denver, so I feel like I talk about this team a lot. I hear about this team a lot, so I'd rather that be fun when I do that versus oh yeah, Denver's doing Denver stuff again. Although Denver stuff has been really fun the last couple of years. I loved the Russell Wilson era. Mr. Unlimited, Danger Russ, absolute artistry. Frankly, that was such a beautiful sequence of events of disappointment on such an extreme scale that I really had a great time with. Disappointment, yeah, that's a good transition to the Browns S tier for sure. They would be S tier last season too. Seeing a team just fall apart every week like that, show up to the stadium with no hope of taking it home, was just great. I don't know. I want to see you either succeed immensely or tragically fail. And I really don't have too much more hope this team is going to improve. So I expect to see them be as entertaining this time around. The new quarterback situation, I'm sure one of those guys is good, but they got the weirdest quarterback room in the league. They got 5 guys who like kind of can play, but we don't know any of them can really do it yet. Shedeur is interesting, obviously, one of the more interesting stories from the draft. I mean, more interesting than Cam Ward, the number 1 pick, which is weird. Frankly, I think I would have been less interested if he actually went in like the first 2 or 3 rounds because of that, I guess. His ego is big on him, and I might have said this before, but you're allowed to have a big ego if you can back it up. And so I'm excited to see him try and back that up. And again, this team is just full of drama. There was the Myles Garrett incident over the offseason where he very openly wanted to go somewhere else and like win games. But then Cleveland threw enough money at him, I guess, to convince him to stay, and he changed his tune real quick. I can't imagine how you can like welcome that guy back into the building after saying like, hey, I want to go somewhere else and actually win games. But hey, if it works for you guys, bring your guy back. Easy S here on the Browns. Cowboys are almost similar in that way, where like the tragedy is so amusing. That might be an A tier. They're not to the degree of the Browns in terms of like, wow, this is ridiculous. How are you in this league? But this team has some of the biggest ego in sports I've ever seen. Jerry Jones is an absolute character. He treats this team more like it's a media franchise, like it's a photo op more than a sports team. I'll also say I like Dak more than I think a lot of people do. People have written him off as can't perform in the playoffs, he's a choker, whatever it is. I don't fully blame that on Dak, if I'm being real. And when he's healthy, people forget that when he's healthy, he's like one of the top QBs in the league. So if we can get another healthy season out of Dak, I think this team should be okay. But frankly, because of the ego of this team and the organization and the fans, seeing them both win and lose is equally entertaining. My favorite thing is the annual like Cowboys lose in the playoffs like kind of videos on Twitter of the fans freaking out and smashing TVs. You got Skip Bayless throwing away his Cowboys jersey. I look forward to that every year. It's part of the playoffs at this point. And it was a real shame to not get that last year. Cowboys, get to the playoffs just so I can see you lose in them. The entertainment value out of that is just immense, and I need you guys to perform for me. We can see, I like football, so a lot of these teams are kind of concentrated towards the top here. But the Green Bay Packers aren't, this exciting. They got some talent. I think, Jordan Love, he's at the very bottom of great. Josh Jacobs, also just at the bottom of great. Like, these guys are good. I'd be happy to have them on my team, but they're just not going to really draw me in. There's not enough of those crazy highlight plays, not enough of that consistency at an elite level that's going to make that happen. So unfortunately, I can't put it much higher than C. One of those receivers needs to step up. They have like 5 number 2 receivers. And there's a big difference in the league between a number 2 receiver and a number 1 receiver. If you look at the Bengals, people often talk about how T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are both number 1 receivers, or Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are both number 1 receivers. Like that term is used to imply that like these guys aren't number 1 target caliber, like the safest guy you automatically go to. They don't have one of those. They're trying, though. I can respect them with drafting Matthew Golden. I think they're really trying to put an end to that narrative. So just based off of that, they're not in D, but this is just a boring team. I'll still watch the games because they could contend in the playoffs, but what do you really bring to the table that's going to get the average NFL fan super stoked? Next up, sort of a similar thing, is the Texans. I'm going to put it in the same tier. It's that same thing of what is an average football fan going to get out of this team that's super exciting? It was great when you guys had a super exciting young quarterback in Stroud and Stephon Diggs, a super popular wide receiver name. You guys lost Diggs. You brought in Nick Chubb. That's an interesting choice. It's kind of weird seeing Nick Chubb be a backup when just a few years ago he was everyone's RB2, RB3. So interesting seeing how that's going to work out. I'd love to see him play again, but he had some serious injuries go on. And I imagine that the GMs know more about that than I do, so that's probably why he was traded and why he's put as a backup. That's kind of a shame. I feel bad for Tank Bell. I love seeing a young receiver and a young quarterback kind of grow together, but he's going to be out, I think, for the rest of the season, it's expected. I've heard people say he might come back. He might be ready to go by the playoffs, but I heard that about Aaron Rodgers, and that was nowhere near true. Defense is boring. I don't really know much about the coaching staff. CJ Stroud doesn't interest me that much anymore. It is very much like a what have you done for me lately kind of league, and he didn't really thrill me last year all too much, so I can't put him a whole lot higher. Tough break for the Texans. Indianapolis Colts. That's a D tier. That's a D tier exciting team. Not even Pat McAfee talks about the Colts much anymore, because what really is there? Anthony Richardson, I talk a lot about quarterbacks. I'm very quarterback biased, obviously. In this list, you can tell. That's exciting. Fun seeing the guy kind of flip the switch between terrible backyard football and like ridiculous elite athletic throws. I think that one throw he had last season did a lot of damage to this franchise because now they can't just throw him out because they know he can do stuff like that, but they can't play him all the time because he's obviously not ready. I think the worst thing they can do is like put him in for half the season behind some other guy or try to develop him in the offseason, whatever. You gotta like cut him loose or play him, I think. You're wasting everyone's time. You're wasting his time. If he's going to go be a backup somewhere else, just go let him do it. I guess this Colts, I don't have a lot of hope for them in terms of wins, and I don't think I'm going to watch a lot of these games. Sorry, Colts. Chiefs. That's another good one. I feel like I don't really have to say a whole lot about this team. Tough break on that Super Bowl. I'm excited to see how that affects the morale of the team. I think they realize that they're not invincible, I guess. I know that they've lost the Super Bowl before, but it wasn't in this fashion. It wasn't so obviously the offense's fault. And it wasn't like this Chiefs team. It wasn't this unit of like feeling like they were invincible, which is fair, because frankly they were for so long. Not an S tier, but I'm going to put an A. You do love seeing a great quarterback go do his thing, but this team did get a little stale at the end of last year, and some of those wins they were getting, this is a common complaint, but like they didn't always feel super earned. Winning a game based on a call or something left up to interpretation, that's just football, that's how it is. But when it happens that much, and it sort of artificially inflates a win total to a point where the Chiefs fans can claim that they're incredible, but you don't feel the same way, it creates a bit of a disparity between the entire rest of the league and then the Chiefs kingdom, which became kind of annoying. That O-line better shape up. One, they embarrassed the entire team in the Super Bowl, and I think that a lot of teams are going to try to do what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl, so they should expect to see a lot of that same defense. Not that it was a lot of blitzing. I think it was 0 blitzes the whole Super Bowl, but they brought a lot of pressure, and I think if you can kind of replicate that, maybe that sticks in Mahomes' head, like, hey, this didn't go so well last time. I imagine that really does leave a mark on your kind of sense of self as a quarterback. And I get these guys are extremely mentally strong, especially Patrick Mahomes. He gets a lot of hate. He doesn't really give into it. He doesn't allow himself to fit into that like villain archetype. He doesn't try to artificially position himself as a hero of the league. He really just kind of takes it as it goes. So he's a very mentally strong guy, but that does gotta weigh on you. And I'm excited to see if that actually plays out like that in the season. Not an S tier because you're competing with some with a real stinker and some other teams that we're excited to see if they win. And there's really no reason that I would think that you aren't going to like repeat a deep playoff run. But it's not as fun to see that as it would be for the Bengals or for Josh Allen or whatever it is. Or see Derrick Henry finally go far in the playoffs. I have a lot of teams left. This is going to take a long... I've been recording for 37 minutes. This is ridiculous. I did not think this was going to take nearly this long. I did write a lot of notes, but this is really something. Chargers. Let's see. I like Herbert. I do. But I want to see him play up to his potential. A little bit like Kyler. I think Herbert's always been better than Kyler in terms of ceiling and in terms of actual performance. But with Herbert, it's a little bit more disappointing. I think this team could be great every year, and for one reason or another, it just doesn't happen. And it's getting a little bit frustrating. I want to see them make a deep playoff run. I want to see Herbert, I was going to say have opportunities to perform, but now that he has had opportunities, he played terribly in the playoffs last season. Really embarrassingly so. And that's kind of what I mean by, like, I want to see him do it right. At a certain point, I can't keep thinking he has this immense talent if I just never see it on the field. And I don't want to think that about a guy. I want a guy to be the best he can. I don't want to leave a season being like, man, I have to think less of a person because of how they play. I don't want that. I want to see Harbaugh get some wins. With that said, not very exciting. I mean, anything else I got? This is a pretty short piece of notes I got here. I mean, besides Bosa and some of the receivers, like, who are you tuning in to watch at a Chargers game? They're not as boring as these two teams. C tier feels fair. Sorry, guys, but that's probably where you're going to land. The other LA team, the Rams, kind of a tough one to know about excitement. I think they're a little bit of a question mark right now. Stafford's injury is a real damper on them in this tier list. I'm not going to watch Jimmy Garoppolo. I watched way too much of that in San Francisco. I watched some of that in New England. I'm not going to do it here in LA. Sorry, I'm just not going to do it. A lot of respect for McVay. He seems like he's a great person to spend time. He seems like he's very nice to his players. He's got a great offensive mind. He's just smart in general. You can kind of get that from hearing him in interviews. He's got a nice smile. I can respect him for that. I'll also say that the receiving core he put together: Adams, Puka, Tutu Atwell. Not that Tutu Atwell is like incredible. Like if your third corner has to cover him, that's a pretty good look. Especially when you got Kyron Williams able to take that ball too. I think this team can do a lot of good stuff. Now that I think about it, maybe Garoppolo is what this team needs. He's obviously worse than Stafford, but like Garoppolo does kind of thrive when he can kind of just put the work on other people. So if you have two great receivers and one pretty good receiver, and then a pretty good running back, you can kind of just get the ball out kind of quick and step back and let the team do it. That might work out pretty well for him. B tier, I think. Excitement in B tier. I do like watching all the young stars on this team, and I'm excited to see what they can put together. Like, they don't have like the star-studded roster I think that they have had in the past. Like, there's some changes in the organization, the changes in the identity of the team. I mean, so I'm excited to kind of see how this organization puts that together and moves forward. We have a new era in Las Vegas. I've not been excited about the Raiders one time, ever. I was never stoked for the Derek Carr era. Everything after that kind of seemed like a blur, and now here we are today with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Ashton Jeanty. Like, this offense feels rejuvenated. And I'm excited to see that happen. I miss Pete Carroll in Seattle. I miss having him nearby, seeing him chew that gum on TV all the time, but I can watch him in Las Vegas. It'll be all right. I think he's a great guy to have around, and I think if you are a young running back like Jeanty, this is a pretty good spot to end up at. You know, it's not a super terrible team, but you're not expected to take him to the Super Bowl. I think you'll develop really well here under Pete Carroll. Yeah, they can still be bad, and I'll watch them. That also helps him kind of just in this list specifically. Geno was an interesting choice. While I get bringing Geno back for Pete Carroll, why Geno Smith? I mean, not that there was a ton of quarterbacks moving around this offseason, but like, I wonder who looked at his tape and was like, okay, that's the guy who's going to change this offense, who's going to really make us click. It's like, he's good. I trust him with the ball. He's not going to make too many stupid choices. He's accurate enough, but he's not going to transform the offense. I don't think he's going to really take you to the next level. So I'm just interested to see. They must know something that I don't, and they're going to have to prove that to me this season. A. S. A. Miami Dolphins. In terms of success, hard team to predict. I don't know if Tua can walk straight anymore. I don't know if Tyreek wants to be there. I don't know where Jalen Waddle was last season. He wasn't the same guy. Aging roster generally. Very hard team to fully wrap your head around and understand. I wrote down, can Tua stay healthy? Can he even read and write? No disrespect to Tua, but the concussions add up after a while. Receiving duo is very quiet this year in terms of hype, which is very rare. I mean, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle should be talked about all the time. Maybe they are in like the Miami Dolphins circles, but I don't hear about them anymore. That's kind of concerning for me. Like what is going on behind the scenes of this team? Boring defense. Mike McDonald does have some white boy swag to him. White boy of the year candidate up there with like Chalamet and like the guy from Coldplay. White boy of the year candidate for sure. He's got some of that grimy Miami thing going on with him now. It's fun. I still trust him. He's a good offensive mind, but can he pick up the pieces of this team that I feel like fell apart a little bit? And also, I just do not trust him in the playoffs at all. Unfortunately, it's in the cold months, and Tua has not proven himself able to play at a high level in the cold months, and that alone really puts a lid on what this team can do and how exciting I can find them, because when the Browns don't make the playoffs, it's a whole different thing. I've talked about that, but them, it's like, man, you guys have what it takes, you just can't do it. It's like if Justin Herbert was an entire team. It's frustrating to watch them to the point where it's almost not fun. It's going to be real hard to get a team to be down here in this D tier, so I got to fill out that C tier a little bit more. Vikings is a tough one. Got a new quarterback, which is probably going to put him in B tier. I'm just going to throw him in B tier preemptively. I think if you are J.J. McCarthy, sucks he got injured, but I feel like he's pretty healthy now. He's probably having good reps in practice. Unfortunately, he can't be thrown with Addison. He's suspended, I think, for 4 or 5 games, something like that. That's going to be really tough to not get those reps actually in game with the other half of your great receiver duo. But Justin Jefferson can make anyone look good. I think if J.J. McCarthy is just Sam Darnold's level, he can be great. No disrespect to Sam Darnold. He was an MVP candidate for a lot of the weeks last year, but obviously he's not the athletic freak. He's not the incredible offensive mind. It's just the bar is low for J.J. McCarthy. If he can just be enough, this team can have some success. young quarterback doing well is fun. That's a pretty B tier is good for them. I think I made the right call there. New England Patriots. They got some stuff going for them. They got Will Campbell in the draft, who will fight and die to protect his quarterback. That's always nice. Drake May's going to develop a little bit. Drake May's tough because that's very exciting in New England, and people are very excited about him. However, I'm wary because I've seen this before with Mac Jones. There was a time people were calling Mac Jones like another. They were like, oh, Patriots got another Brady, another guy who can just see the field and make easy passes and whatever, which is disrespectful to Brady in the first place, but that's not the point of this. And then I saw Mac Jones today playing in the preseason for a team I didn't even know he was on. So, like, I'm not going to just automatically co-sign Drake May as, like, the savior of this franchise. So I can't do too much with him. And frankly, no Brady, no Harry. Like, I'm not going to care about him nearly as much as I did in the past. And so that's going to be a C tier? New quarterbacks tier, B. That's kind to this team. They were kind to me as a kid. I'll be kind to them here, B. New Orleans Saints is another team. That's, like, one of the reasons I'm making this. New Orleans Saints is a sad excuse for a football team. I don't even really want to spend too much time talking about this team because they're, like, disrespectful to me. Alvin Kamara is not enough to save this team. He's cool and he's good, fun to watch, but, like, that's not enough to get me to watch this. I wish Red Zone would cut around this team. I'm just not interested. Frankly, they're a bye week for anyone playing them. I don't want to see them. I'm getting really mean. I don't have to be this mean to them. You know, the D-tier team. I'll leave it at that. New York Giants is a very, very weird team. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito. What? I'm all there for a QB by committee thing. You know, that's always very successful in this league. But, like, which of these guys are you going to start and, like, feel great about? Russell Wilson's not the same. He wet the bed in the last two franchises he's played for. Jameis Winston is a guaranteed 4 touchdowns, 3 picks a game. Jackson Dart, untested, fair. They liked him in the draft, so I'll give him that. Tommy DeVito, we've been here before. You're not gonna start him. So, like, what are we doing? Who's making these choices? They got no clear quarterback 1. They got no clear running back 1. They're trending up, and there's enough star power to get me to tune in. And frankly, the fact that this team is so unsure is very, very entertaining. They're a little bit like they're going to do better than the Browns. They got a pretty good defense going on. You know, they got Abdul Carter, Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. It's like there's a lot of good stuff going. They're going to do better than the Browns. But they're exciting in the same way, where it's like, what a mess, what a nightmare being this team has to be. That's an automatic A for me. Anything they do is going to be exciting. Frankly, good for the Giants for finally getting themselves into, I don't know if it's the public eye, because I don't know if anyone else cares about this team, but I care about them. Good luck. Good on them for getting into my eye. Congrats, guys. New York Jets is weird. I don't know how you have your New York brothers and the Giants do all this stuff in the offseason, bring in so much more arm talent, and do all this stuff in the draft and build that defense they're building, and you just get rid of Devontae Adams and swap out Aaron Rodgers for Justin Fields. It's like, that's you putting your best foot forward, guys. That's like the best thing you could come up with was that. Garrett Wilson is kind of like the Saints. It's like they have Alvin Kamara. Garrett Wilson is not enough for me to tune in to watch this team. Great player. One of the greatest catches I've ever seen last season with the shin bone inbounds. That was pretty great. But, like, that's just not enough. Justin Fields is kind of boring, too. I do like a run-first quarterback. Not a run first. Like Lamar and Jaden Daniels aren't exactly run first, but like they have that same kind of thing where like, hey, we're great runners, it's a big part of our game, whatever it is. I love that. I just don't think Justin Fields has the arm talent to spread the defense enough to where that's really going to be super effective. So frankly, that's a D tier team for me. Sorry, guys. On the other hand, where Aaron Rodgers went from the Jets, Pittsburgh, very interesting. 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers is the backbone of that offense somehow. They brought in DK Metcalf, which I think is weird. I think he kind of has to start doing it if he wants to like leave his mark on the league as a receiver. He's got all the physical gifts in the world, but I don't know. I hear him say stuff. I see him he doesn't seem to have like the ethic to like really go out there and maximize his potential. He eats 2 bags of candy a day, just like that's part of his diet, and like because he thinks he's just like fine. It's like obviously you're not fine if you're built like that and not a top 10 receiver. Like, I don't know, something he's doing just isn't working. I don't see it working in Pittsburgh. the way that Mike Tomlin runs a team is great. A lot of respect for the way he does that. Obviously, a great coach, a great leader. He put together a winning season every season. But I can't watch a game where they win 14-10. It's going to be a good defense. Going to be a weird offense. I can't see Aaron Rodgers scoring a ton of points. I wish him the best of luck, but shoot. What else do I got here? I'd love to see them, deviate from that barely winning season. I think that's actually really, really bad for a franchise to just barely have a winning season or losing season for a long, long time, because you're not getting the good draft picks you need and you're not having playoff success. So you're kind of just treading water. I was kind of talking down on them, but I will say that a lot of that is interesting. A good defense and an Aaron Rodgers going on, that 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, he's a character anyways. He can still throw the ball. DK Metcalf might make something of that. That might be an A tier. I know I went from talking pretty negative to pretty positive, but this is an entertainment tier list, and they might be an A. I think that's an A tier team. Niners is another kind of weird team. They've kind of lost some of the talent on the defense especially. They had a lot of Super Bowl window years, and they're slowly starting to come down and leak some of that stuff out, which is unfortunate. I still believe in Purdy. I still believe in Ayuk, frankly. I believe in McCaffrey. A buddy of mine drafted McCaffrey first overall last year in fantasy, and then he shattered both his shins or something. He couldn't play. And then that same friend was 7th or 6th overall this year and had to take McCaffrey again. And it was a real split decision because he was hurt so bad last season, just in his heart from that poor man. And so I hope it works out for him fine this year. I think the entertainment value for this team comes from Shanahan just trying to hold this thing together for a few more months as it kind of falls apart. And that could be fun. But frankly, that element of I'm going to go watch a bunch of stars play at once isn't really there. That might be a C-tier team. I still expect them to do pretty well. It's just they're not going to be as exciting as maybe they were in years past. It's kind of crazy to go from in the Super Bowl to a C-tier exciting team so quickly, but I don't know. You're just kind of leaking what made that team what it was, and that's just unfortunate. Tampa Bay Bucks is kind of a boring team. They're not bad. I'd say they're probably similar to the Niners. So I can see them doing well, but I don't need to be a part of that journey, I guess. I don't think the storylines are really there this year. Baker's a dog. He's got that mentality about him to, face adversity and come back from things and put the team on his back. He's a great teammate. I like Baker a lot for sure. It's just I don't know if that's enough to really make me too interested. I think kind of enough said, C tier. Titans. I think if it wasn't for the Cam Ward number 1 situation, I'd probably put him in the new quarterbacks tier. But they chose him over Travis Hunter. And to me, Travis Hunter is the unicorn people say he is, kind of a league-changing player. So they must really, really believe in this quarterback. I guess they had to take him. They're not going to wheel out Will Levis for another season. As much fun as that would have been. Titans with Will Levis and Travis Hunter would have been an easy S tier. I would have put them there. I would have gone to them first. I would have screwed the entire order of birds first. No, Titans S tier if they had that. But they don't. I think Cam Ward could be cool. Again, I don't watch a lot of college football, so all I know about him is the highlights that I see, but there seems to be a lot of respect for him. I could see that being fun. And plus, number 1 picks always got my attention. A tier. Finally, we got the Commanders. Couple interesting storylines going on here. Interested to see how Deebo Samuels comes out in Washington. I don't know if he's washed or not. I don't know if he can still reach that elite status. I don't know if he's got the speed on him. I don't know if he's got the mentality for it. I don't know if he's in shape for it. So that's going to be really interesting to see. The idea of a receiver like that coming in like a solid, speedy slot guy, number 2 receiver to help out Jayden Daniels is great. I love that idea. Just, is that going to work? Also with Terry McLaurin kind of requesting a trade, that not really getting done, him kind of having some problems with the team. What's going to happen there? I was a little bit embarrassed to say this, but I did pick him in fantasy because I had a really safe team going, and I was like, give me a wild card. Give me a real question mark. So I picked him up, and that's going to be really interesting. That alone makes me excited to see them, and I'm a big Jayden Daniels guy. That man can move. That man can... Not like Lamar. I'm not going to make that comparison. That's a little bit far. Not like Lamar, but he's more shifty than he gets credit for. People know he can run, but if you watch those highlights, that man is moving side to side in milliseconds. If they can protect him, protect his ribs, that kind of thing, he could really do something incredible. The team's going to keep moving forward, but I don't think I can expect them to do better than they did last year. I think they... they overperformed greatly in the playoffs, getting to where they did. And so good for them. Because they're teetering. This might seem crazy, but they're teetering on S for me. I really like Jaden Daniels. I like seeing a team who's been horrible get some good wins in. I want to see a more consistent run game. I think that was really just not a part of their offense. It was really all just Jaden Daniels. And if they can get that going, get like a number one back in there, get a scheme that works for them. I want to see a world where he's supported because I love the story. Can't put him on S, I think. That's a disrespect to these other teams. I'm going to throw him on an A as well. That A tier's got a lot of teams on it. I might have not done this in a perfectly balanced way, but I think this really accurately represents who I am as a football fan. These guys at the bottom really do got to step up their game. Got some teams who are kind of just there to be an opponent. Question mark's going to move up or down in the next couple years. The teams that really make this league, the kind of the backbone of why this is fun, and then your disasters, your spectacular teams, and your big question mark. This is everything that's great about sports, frankly. I'm excited to see all these quarterbacks go. I'm excited to see these players rise or fall, get injured or score. I think this shows that I'm just really desperate for football to come back on. I mean, I've sat here for an hour and 15 minutes talking to nobody just about the things that I think that my girlfriend doesn't have time to listen to, essentially. If you did watch this video, thank you, that's cool. I might do more of these. It'd be cool to do like a video a week or something, like a week 1 review or like a week 2 predictions or something. I'm really into sports media, and it'd be really cool to be a part of that somehow, whatever form that takes, whether it's just kind of doing this to myself. I mean, this was fun. It's kind of stressful talking to a camera for the first time like this. I'm learning how to use OBS, like a video production software I got over here. This mic was given to me by my girlfriend's ex-roommate's ex-partner. So, shout out to them for that. I'm enjoying the mic. It's got kind of a cool ASMR thing going on, if you didn't know that. You might have heard that while I was moving around, but I can get on this side with it, and I can get real close, and I can do kind of like an ASMR thing. And then I can move to the left side and kind of do it that way. And I could do the whole video like that if that's what I want to do. And I might. Maybe, week 7 predictions, I'm going to be like, I kind of think Jaden Daniels is really gonna put it together this week because, the Bucs defense just kind of can't handle a running quarterback. I could just do that. And I might. I probably won't because I don't think that's not fun for me, and that's probably not what you want either. Long story short, this was fun. I might come back and do some more of these. Go Birds.